as well as the tombs that she explores. She's basically ascending to her destiny. So Laboca doing great work on that one. And then we went with Frank Kosig. This is just a really striking poster to celebrate the next pillar of the game, which is guerrilla combat. Frank is the CEO of Kid Robot. He's a legendary artist, and he just makes some of the most amazing and iconic music posters around. So showcasing the guerrilla combat with him was great, and this is available to everyone who pre-orders the game at GameStop. So huge ability to get a great looking poster there. And then finally, the one that we just revealed, Tara McPherson. She's a critically acclaimed New York City artist. They've dubbed her the crown princess of poster art based on her interpretation of Lara's journey. And we see Lara holding the skull, all sorts of designs in the background. But this one is incredibly limited. And as Joseph said, we're only making 50 of these limited edition sets. So when you hear that sound wheel, make sure you dupe in.
All right, yeah, they definitely will dupe. All right, so let's go ahead. They're already asking for the gameplay. So Rich is going to kind of set the stage for you guys. Definitely ask your questions, share your comments. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the gameplay.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's take a look at Avalanche, the beginning of the game. And so what we start with is Lord Croft. So this is the voice of Lara's father. And, you know, we hadn't really done too much with Lord Croft before this. In fact, we wanted to keep it a surprise in terms of what happens to him. So we're not going to go into too much detail around Lord Croft. So if you've got questions around that, I'm sorry, I'm probably not going to be able to answer them because we don't want spoilers. But this is really speaking to the human spirit. And one of the things that was really important to us when we were looking at where we wanted to take Rise of the Tomb Raider was finding a universal theme that just about anybody could identify with. And for those of you that had played the previous one, and yes, 07's, this is absolutely a follow-up from the last one. So anyone who played the previous Tomb Raider game in 2013 knows that it was about survival, about Lara being trapped in a situation, and then she was able to realize and find out about herself that she had what it took to survive. Rise of the Tomb Raider takes place a year afterwards, and for us it was really important to evolve that survival theme. And so now we're looking at the human spirit and what drives people to, you know, push beyond the boundaries for the sake of human achievement, to push beyond physical and mental boundaries to explore, to unlock new parts of the world. So you think about a Jacques Cousteau who maps the floor of the ocean. You know, you think about a Tenzing Norgay or a Sir Edmund Hillary who are the first to summit Mount Everest. And these are the types of explorers that we looked at who really embody the human spirit and push themselves and risk their lives for the sake of pushing those boundaries further.
Yeah, Red Scorpio just mentions this game is so beautiful, and I was talking to Kyle earlier saying I feel like I'm playing almost cutscenes. It seems it's just beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a really talented art team, and we take a lot of pride in making sure that these environments feel as realistic as possible. And Noid 80, you were asking how long is the development of the game? We actually started developing the game even before we shipped Tomb Raider in 2013. We had a small core team working on ideas and figuring out where we wanted to go for Rise of the Tomb Raider. So it's been over 3 years now that we've been working on this. And you can see here that, you know, we transitioned immediately from the opening cutscene into gameplay, and that's because all of our cutscenes are generated using the in-game engines. They're all running real time. You know, not only, you know, do I think that's pretty impressive from a tech standpoint, but the fun thing is, as you play through the game and unlock new outfits and upgrade your weapons and your equipment, that means that whenever you see a cutscene, it's going to have those changes reflected there. So as you customize Lara and make your way through the adventure, it really will be your version of Lara that you're going to see in all the cutscenes because they're running real time in the engine. So getting back to that, you know, that human spirit aspect, to us, it was important to find that universally identifiable thing that, we think everybody has that sense of wanting to be more inside them. And that's what we wanted to showcase with Lara.
Shit, Lara. You're gonna give me a
Steve
heart
says, "How long is the story?" So it really will depend on you, Steve. Um, it's about the same core single player experience for the main storyline as the previous game. So that's about 10 to 12 hours to get through the core story. However, we have really added a lot more content this time around. So if you want 100% the game, it's going to be anywhere from 30 to 40 hours because there is so much more in the way of, additional tombs to explore, side challenges, missions that you can take from the Remnant, hunting missions, exploration. There's just so much to do, in particular in the hub spaces, that again, it's really a huge amount of gameplay there.
So Rogue 5 brings up, this is funny, I usually have a death counter when I play the game, but Rogue 5 brings up some of the death scenes. I remember in Return of the Tomb Raider, there's some epic ones. Any planned ones for Rise of the Tomb Raider as well?
Yes, so in Tomb Raider, we absolutely had some pretty grisly death scenes, and Rise of the Tomb Raider is no different. And, it's for a couple of reasons. One, we want to show that this is high stakes, and there is a lot of risk in what Lara is doing. So we need to show that going to these hostile environments and going up against the forces of Trinity, they have repercussions when you fail. So we want to show that. We also want you to feel the tension. We know a lot of people cringe when they see some of the death scenes and say, I don't want to see Lara die. Well, that's okay. We want you to feel that tension so that you really are playing a survival action game. It's never really for it's never really being gruesome just for the sake of being gruesome. It really is to showcase that this is high stakes. And then Rogue 5 asks, what kind of collectibles are there? Wow, there are so many. And this gets into the crafting system, this gets into the hunting system, into the exploration. The main thing is we have 16 different resources in the world that are tied to the crafting system. So it may be as simple as, as a wolf pelt, or it may be something, more rare, like a mineral or something like that. And these are all in the gameplay loop because as you're hunting, as you're exploring, as you're, making your way through the world, you're going to find these things, and they can all be used in some way, whether it's to upgrade a weapon, to craft a new piece of equipment, or even to craft, a piece of custom ammo. For example, if you've got your arrows and you find some mushrooms, then you can actually craft a poison arrow. And more importantly, you can do that on the fly. So you don't just pick up arrows in the environment now. If you've got the right resources, you can craft an arrow or even craft a custom arrow right in the middle of combat. And then Rice King, you're asking if there's any new weapons. Absolutely, there are new weapons. We're not going into all of them just yet, but what I can say is that we even have different bows now. So if you remember in Tomb Raider, you would take one bow throughout the entire adventure and you basically upgraded it along the way. You kept the same bow though. Now you can actually choose between bows. For example, you can have the compound bow, which has really a lot of stopping power, but it's a lot more of an aggressive weapon, so it's not going to be as quiet. Or you could have the recurve bow, which isn't quite as powerful, but it's more stealthy. So you can choose what type of bow you want to use, and you can swap them out, whenever you want to. But you can choose what bow you want to use to match your playstyle, and then you can upgrade which ones you want. And the same thing will happen with other weapons. You've got different variations of weapons, like machine guns and shotguns and different pistols. And you choose which ones to upgrade and how to upgrade them, and then you swap them into your weapon slots based on your playstyle.
So I don't know if the viewers got to hear that, but when that sound went off, there was a ringing in the headphones. So I think this is a game that you definitely want to get a headset. And then Wall Train mentioned really turn down your air conditioning, and then you'll even feel like you're more in the game with all the ice. But it's time for our first rack as well. All right, and our first rack is going to be for an Xbox One controller with a play and charge kit. That's our first rack of the night.
Go back, Jonah!
Awesome.
Get the shelter!
And Seco90, appreciate the pre-order. You're going to get some awesome stuff as a reward for that. There's a ton of great pre-order content. And a Wicked One asks, since that there's always a supernatural aspect to Tomb Raider, and will it be like the last game where we uncover legends of supernatural? So, you know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say that we do like to make the majority of the adventure grounded in reality. And then what we do is we try and make sure that you still have that supernatural and that mysticism that we hold it towards the end. So I'm not going to go into details, but we absolutely are going to be remaining true to form. And then the thing that we like to do with uncovering the legend is the fact that, yes, Lara is looking for something in this game. You know, there's two things. Part of it is the secret of immortality, and she's racing Trinity, which is the evil organization, to find this secret of immortality before they do, because Lara feels like this is something that can help humanity. You know, this is something that it's her responsibility to beat Trinity to the lost city of Katesh, which that ties into the other myth that we've got in the game. You may be familiar with it. The lost city of Katesh is actually a Russian myth where the Mongols were invading this city, and the people actually caused the city to sink beneath the ice in order to hide themselves and protect themselves from the invading Mongol horde. So we've got those two myths in the game, and Lara believes that it's her responsibility, given her skill and her will and, you know, her intelligence, to race Trinity to that secret. And then thanks, Twitch Juggle, you're saying look at the detail, appreciate that. And Godizer says, with the weapon slots, is there a limit to what you can bring each time? So when you go to your different campfires, that's when you'll make the decisions about which weapons, you know, like which bow you're going to equip. But you will still have 4 weapon slots. So as in the first game, you'll have a bow, you'll have like a machine gun, you'll have a pistol, and you'll have like a heavy weapon like a shotgun or something else. So you will have a limit to the number of weapons that you can carry each time.
And Joe Breeze actually calls out that he loves the contextual control cues that you guys provided.
Oh, good. Thank you. No, we try and keep it as cinematic as possible and make sure that you're never fighting the controls to do what you want to do. And it looks like the dupe winner is Tikru85. So nicely done on that.
Yeah, nice. And we'll send you a Twitch message to get your information so that we can send out. And again, that was the Xbox One controller with the play and charge kit. And our next 3 dupes in a row are going to be Rise of the Tomb Raider digital game codes that will unlock on 11/10. So it looks like we went back in time 2 weeks.
We did. So we're
now
that we yeah. So the game, you know, you guys are seeing from the very beginning of the game right now. And so the first thing was that avalanche scene. And you're right, Dottie Duke. She is absolutely braver, certainly than I'd ever be. You know, Lara is making the decision to put herself in harm's way, so it's pretty impressive. So after she is separated from Jonah by the avalanche, we do flash back 2 weeks earlier to London. And this is to help understand, you know, what is it that is making her go on this expedition in the first place? Because that's one of the things that we're celebrating with Rise of the Tomb Raider. There are 4 key pillars. You know, it's tied to the 4 posters as well. But you know, the first pillar is always Lara and her journey, and this is about her accepting her destiny to become the Tomb Raider. You know, and also making that decision to go off on that first tomb raiding expedition, because she believes that she has a responsibility to do what she thinks is right and race Trinity for the secret of immortality. And then Noid80 asked, how many difficulty levels are there? We actually have 4 in the game. 3 of them are immediately selectable. So you have the Adventurer, which is really if you just want to be able to get through the game, as a cinematic experience and not worry too much about the combat or your health. So that'd be the easiest difficulty level. And then we have Tomb Raider, and then we have Seasoned Raider. So Tomb Raider is sort of the default difficulty, and Seasoned Raider is more difficult. So for people who have played the first game and are familiar with it, you're going to want to choose probably between one of those two to make sure you're getting either the standard combat or more challenging combat. But then we also have Survivor difficulty, and this has to be unlocked. But this has, it is what it says. You have to be a survivor in order to complete this. There's no auto heal. There's very limited resources. Enemies are extremely brutal and killer. So that's going to be a tough one. And thank you, Lara 11 Croft. We do like to make sure that Lara feels as authentic as possible, both from a physical perspective as well as her performance. So that's where you do get to see the imperfections and flaws in her face, in her skin, but also in her character. The fact that she is not a perfect hero. Spectre 3 asks, if someone hasn't played the first, will they be lost? I'm really glad you asked that question, because the answer is absolutely not. For the fans who enjoyed Tomb Raider back in 2013 or Definitive Edition in 2014, we absolutely think that you will have a lot to love and you will have a lot to appreciate, but you are absolutely not required to play the first game. We very much treat this as a standalone adventure, and while you will always have a little bit more context for some of the things and her relationships, you don't have to play the first game.
So you guys are not seeing another Twitch commercial. We actually are playing this GameStop commercial for the Go Big hand cannon, where this dude just throws the burrito and knocks that guy right out. So don't refresh your screens, but pre-order the game from GameStop. There's a tile right below the stream, and you're going to get all this cool DLC, which Rich can talk to a little bit about more, but that's the Go Big hand cannon right there that we just saw.
Yeah, that's very cool, and I'll certainly touch on those in just a second. But a couple quick questions. Second Son Gamer asked, how much stealth will play in this game? How much will stealth play in this game? Excuse me. You know what? I'm gonna defer and answer that question in a little while, because we've actually got some great videos that are gonna show you exactly how many options you have when it comes to stealth. The game looks incredible. Can't wait to experience dynamic weather. Appreciate that, and just want to clarify that the weather isn't dynamic in that a storm will roll in while you're in a certain area. But what we do have is whenever you make a return trip to an area, then it will have different weather. So you may have now a snow or some rain or some fog or night or day. So the time of day and the weather will change when you make return trips to areas. But just want to be clear about that. And
awesome.
Yeah, and it looks like we got the next section ready to roll, which is Lara, after she has made the decision to go to Syria to look for the Tomb of the Lost Prophet. She has to get there first. And, so this is the second location in the game. The majority of the game does take place in Siberia, but not to worry, it's not the snow game. There's a wide variety of different environments that are within that geographic location. But here in Syria, this is Lara looking for the Tomb of the Lost Prophet. And what was important for us here was to show that Lara is not just really skilled in combat. She's not just a great Tomb Raider. She's a brilliant archaeologist, and she has connected the dots. She has followed her father's research and the clues of the same things that he was looking for, and she's put it together in a way that nobody else was able to. And people have not been able to make the connection between the lost city of Katesh and that myth of the lost prophet. And Lara realizes that they are perhaps connected, and that finding the tomb of the lost prophet could in fact be the key to finding the lost city of Katesh, where she believes she'll find the secret of immortality. So Lara is putting these pieces together. She's following the breadcrumbs from her father's research, and she's getting to this, basically to this space based on that.
Oh, this is a beautiful scene. Hopefully, all our viewers' bandwidth is coming through clean. That was an awesome
Thank you.
shot right there.
Thank you. Yeah, we try and make those vistas striking. And Raiden Stryker, speaking of striking, says at Crystal Dynamics, what specifically drove your team to pick a mythology that you explore in each game? It's a great question because we always like to find something that is grounded in reality, but isn't necessarily the myth of the week. So, from the big picture, if you think about immortality and the idea of the human soul, this is something that is in almost every religion. So, we believe that it's something that just about anyone can understand. But then when you start talking about the lost prophet and the lost city of Katesh, these are things that we took from actual myths. We obviously take some creative license with them. But they are what we call Googleable myths. So if you actually look up the lost city of Katesh, you'll see that it is a real Russian myth. And we like to have that grounding in reality because we think it makes it feel a little bit more related and realistic, but also it gives us a nice touch point to jump off of. And Dahlia Duke, good to see a nice blend of emotion and action. Appreciate that. We absolutely try and deliver what we call cinematic survival action. So it's not just the action, it's not just the survival, but we also want to take you on this roller coaster ride. And we always want you to feel like you're for the most part in control of that roller coaster ride. And we also want you to feel like the game opens up and lets you play at your own pace. And this happens in the hubs, but we do want to make sure that we are providing that blend. So appreciate you calling that out. And Kerbex1 said, I'm super excited for the tombs in this game. We are absolutely excited as well, and we think you will not be disappointed because there are more main tombs, there are more side tombs that act as optional challenge quests, and we even have crypts in the game now. So in just a little bit in this video, you're going to see the translation system at play. So Lara Croft, like I said, is not just a skilled in guerrilla combat tactics or in traversal. She's also a brilliant archaeologist, and you can see here that she is looking at murals, and as she does, you see that her Greek proficiency in the corner of the screen there just went up a little bit. There are 3 different languages in the game that Lara can increase her proficiency in, and when that happens, it means that she can then look at these monoliths that are in the found in the world, and if she translates them, if her proficiency is high enough, that'll actually reveal a secret location in the world. So it may be just a hidden buried treasure, or it may be a crypt where you could find a burial chamber that has a piece of an ancient weapon in it. So we are absolutely rewarding the fans who are exploring every nook and cranny. And like I said, this translation system is just another way of us celebrating Lara's intelligence and bringing another layer to the aspect of tomb raiding. And thanks, Mad Kills OG. Glad that you loved every Tomb Raider game. Can't wait to play it. We're thinking you're going to have a lot to love, and you're going to have a hands full for a while. Like I said, we've got about 30 to 40 hours of gameplay, depending on how quickly you go through.
Quick call out by Lara Croft herself on that last screenshot. She just said, that's amazing, and I agree.
Thank you.
All right, it's time for that next Duke wheel, and this one's going to be for the digital game code of Rise of the Tomb Raider. So we just saw her walking on a high beam.
Yes.
I gotta give her a lot of credit because I can walk on a high beam if it's 1 foot off the ground, so good. But as soon as you put it 20 feet off the ground, I fall after 2 steps. Not that I've ever tested, I just feel like I would.
or even 200 feet off the ground, like it looked like in this case. So I certainly would not want that risk. I think I'd be scooching along, crawling on it. So,
Like, can you just like hold it with your entire body?
if I
like,
even
hug
got
it,
this
like
far.
hug it and do like an inchworm across it.
Yeah, that might have also been the point at which I was like, well, I guess I don't need to know what immortality is that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can see that, as Lara, just before she did that that traversal, the copter flew overhead, the same attack copter that had shot the Jeep up. So Lara is gradually beginning to understand that Trinity is racing her for the for the secret of immortality and trying to find the tomb of the lost prophet. So Trinity hasn't fully revealed themselves yet in Rise of the Tomb Raider, but for the fans who have been paying attention, and again, this is absolutely not required reading, but Trinity is in the comics, and we also even had a little bit of a call out to Trinity in the first game. So Trinity is an organization, think of them like the Global Shadow Organization, but they've had their eye on Lara for quite some time. So again, not required reading, but for the fans who have been following along with with the comics and the novel, and exploring every nook and cranny on the previous game. Trinity, they won't be any Trinity to. They won't be a stranger to Trinity. Trinity being well known to them so far. Looks like the dupe winner was Panda Zombie 82. Nicely done. Good job. And thank you, T London 2006, for the comment. This is one gorgeous game. I appreciate that. Again, we have a really talented tech team and art team. They take lots of real-world references, going through the architecture and trying to make things look realistic, but there's also a lot of artistic interpretation and creative license, so they certainly do build some beautiful, beautiful gameplay. And Noid80 says, I love that I can't fully tell gameplay and cutscene. I appreciate that you mentioned that because we absolutely have that as a goal. We want you to feel like you are constantly in control. We don't want it to be jarring back and forth. And I think that also goes back to the fact that all the cutscenes are rendered real time, So I'm always amazed because, you'll be watching a cutscene, and there are cutscenes that I've seen now, 100+ times, and you can see that every time Lara's hair does something different. It's not a pre-rendered cinematic. This is the engine. This is Lara's model. This is, as soon as we take control away from you in those moments, this is just the game engine continuing to take the data and turn it into a cutscene. And Joe Breves, thank you for the comment on the lighting. We have an awesome lighting team as well. We actually we have some blogs on our Tomb Raider blog. So if you go to tombRaider.com, there's a link to the blog where we talk about some of the tech. So if any of you guys are interested in checking out a little more under the hood information, be sure to check out tombRaider.com and then look for our blog. So you can see here, that we've got traps. They are absolutely back in Rise of the Tomb Raider. One of the things that we heard loud and clear from the fans is, you guys told us we want more tombs and we want more puzzles. And, that was absolutely a goal to make sure that we were delivering on both. So I think I already mentioned to one of you guys that said you couldn't wait for the tombs. I mentioned that we have more main tombs, we have more challenge tombs, even these crypts. But we also want them to feel like they're deadly spaces. We want you to feel like at any given moment there could be danger around every turn. So tombs are absolutely filled with traps in addition to these puzzles. They're absolutely filled with challenging climbs and, an unstable landscape. So we want it to feel like it's awe-inspiring yet deadly at the same time.
And even Frag First says the detail of how she looks wet after she gets wet. Like, you guys put so much thought into the small details and things of the game, so that's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. And what we're looking at right now is we kind of cut together a brief sequence because we didn't want to spoil it for you guys. We don't want to spoil the puzzle. We know that's important for you guys to actually get through the puzzle and see some of the key cutscenes by yourself. So we're showing you some cutscenes in this in this tell, but I don't want to spoil the solutions to every puzzle, and some of the things that are said in the cutscenes. So
Yeah,
if you
that's
guys play
appreciated.
yourself, yeah, you guys can see all of that stuff. But now we are back to the real time gameplay, and this is the run out sequence that we have. So Lara needs to escape the tomb of the Lost Prophet after having triggered an explosion.
Have you ever put a heart rate monitor on testers when they do their runouts? Because I know mine goes up, so I'm just curious to how much someone's heart rate goes up during your runout scenes.
We don't really go into the biometric testing just yet. We do ask people though afterwards, and it certainly does seem like the adrenaline starts to spike. I know even the first couple of times when I was playing it, because I've had to demo this, live on stage. I've wound up with some sweaty palms, so this is no joke. This part, and Jen Croft cosplayer, the light reflecting off the whetstone is amazing. Thank you. Yeah, much like the way that we try and treat Lara getting wet with her clothing and her hair, we want it to feel as immersive as possible. And Pivot saying, "Oh my goodness, I want to be Lara Croft." I do too, except when she's making those balance beam traversals like we talked about a little earlier. But I think when we talk about Lara, it is also important for us that she feels realistic. And so if you notice when she gets out of swimming, she'll actually wring out her ponytail. So it's those little
Awesome.
touches that we love to put in. Christy Games official says, "I can't believe I went from locking the old butler in the fridge in Tomb Raider 2 to this." Yes, absolutely.
All right, so
That's one of my favorite things to do.
That's the end of Prophet's Tomb. We're gonna look into some Bear Valley
Absolutely.
next.
Yes. So Prophet's Tomb, as you can see, that was still part of the flashback. So in terms of the chronology of the game, again, you guys are basically seeing it from the very beginning. But what's happening real time is Lara being in Siberia when she gets buried by the avalanche. Then we flash back to that scene in London that you got to watch. That's the first cinematic of the game, and then you see why she's going to Syria to go on this tomb raiding expedition to find the tomb of the Lost Prophet. And then once she sees that symbol at the end of the tomb, she realizes that now she has to go to Siberia. So now we flash back and we'll take a look at Bear Valley.
So Destiny Rican with the interesting question. He goes, "What's with the change from the torch to the glow stick?" My first impression would be she didn't have glow sticks, and she had to make a torch. But any thought process behind that from Crystal Dynamics?
Absolutely. So this is all part of Lara proactively going on a tomb raiding expedition as opposed to being trapped in a survival situation. So, one of the big benefits of making the choice is that you can pack. So, while we've got to applaud Lara for putting herself in harm's way, and I certainly don't know that most people would make the same choice, if placed in her shoes. One of the good things is she can actually take some stuff with her. Now, of course, we still want the survival action, so she's going to lose some of her equipment from being buried in the avalanche. But we thought glow sticks were something that she could hang on to, and would be a good way to let us have some dark spaces, but also show that there was some preparation that went into the expedition.
Awesome. All right, here we go. We're gonna start Bear Valley.
Absolutely. So after this quick logo, you'll see. Quick refresher. This is for anybody that didn't get to watch that first part that you guys did. So, quick recap of what happened in the avalanche scene. Should be familiar to just about all of you from a few moments ago. And then after this death-defying leap and what we call the washing machine, little insider tidbit there. That sequence is known as the washing machine when Lara gets tumbled around in the snow. Now this is this is what you would experience playing the game, where Lara bursts out of being buried in the snow. And Dottie Duke 16, amazing evolution of character. I appreciate that. We getting back to that first pillar that I talked about. We're showcasing Lara's journey, her making the decision to go on a tomb raiding expedition, we thought that showed growth in a couple different ways. You know, mentally she's growing, physically she's growing, she's becoming more skilled,
Jonah,
she's becoming more sure of
if you can
herself.
hear me,
She's still not a trained assassin. She's absolutely not a
go back.
superhero. Um, but you'll see, in particular, when we get back to the when we get to the combat section a little later, is
I need
that
to do this.
we do have Lara more confident and willing to try new things. Um, so during the play and learn, you'll get to see a couple different ways that she evolves as a character. But where we are right now is we've stripped her down to just just having a few pieces of equipment. So now we really want you to feel what it's like to be surviving in a harsh wilderness, and that takes us to the second pillar that we talked about a little bit. But Woman versus Wild is about Lara using her skills and her wits to go to these hostile environments. And this all relates, all of our pillars don't stand on their own. They all support the cinematic survival action experience, and they all relate to each other. Because if you think about Lara making a decision, when we talk about the first pillar of Lara's journey, Lara making a decision to go to a hostile environment for the sake of what she believes is right, and realizing her destiny to become the Tomb Raider. Now you get to the Woman versus Wild, where not many people could survive in a place like this, but Lara can. She knows she has the survival skills to do that. She knows she has the wits to survive here, and that's why she feels that responsibility to go to these places, because so few other people can. So Woman versus Wild is about her going up against the world, where virtually everything out in nature is trying to kill her, whether it's a natural predator like a bear or a wolf, or whether it's unstable landscape or a trap in the tomb, or harsh, freezing conditions. It's because the world is fiercely protecting its secrets. The secrets of history are lost because they are protected by the world. They're found in these hidden, brutal pockets, these harsh environments. If they weren't hidden like this, if they weren't, in these really dangerous places, they wouldn't still be lost, and anybody could find them. Pivot saying she needs a scarf and hot chocolate. I agree. Maybe we need a hot chocolate crafting feature. And Nika Neko says, I love the new crafting feature. Thank you. You're going to see a lot more of that, in particular, even during the play and learn a little bit later when we talk about the combat systems. But we want to make it so that it feels like everything is related, so that everything you're collecting is tied into either upgrading or crafting something on the fly. The Treble asks, do the outfits in the game have to be crafted in order to be used? You're not going to have to craft outfits. You will need to find pieces of them for some outfits, but you're not going to need to necessarily craft an outfit. Master Disaster says, so human, trembling and clenching. Amazing. Thanks very much. We absolutely want you to feel cold with Lara. We want you to feel like you're going on an adventure with her. Lab Geek Gamer says, are the survival instincts still a thing? They absolutely are. So you can click in the right thumbstick at any time, and you will get a new kind of view on the screen where Lara can see objects that are highlighted that's either her objective or things that she can interact with in the world. But you can also choose to turn that off if you want to. And taking a quick brief break from that, you can see when we're talking about the crafting system, those twigs that she gathered, also using that to strengthen her bow. And you got a quick glimpse of the 16 different resources that you can collect in the game, both common and exotic. And you can see now that she's also using some of the materials to craft arrows. And if we find some mushrooms, you can craft a poison arrow. So again, everything you're looking for in the wilderness, everything that you're finding, it all relates.
What would you use a poison arrow for? More the
What would you use a
wildlife,
poison arrow for? You could use it for anything. It's actually, we're going to show you that used a little bit. Sometimes it's a great way to stun some wildlife. Sometimes it's a great way to attack a group of enemies at once and take them out silently. So lots of different ways to use the poison arrow.
All right, it's that time again.
Should be exploring horizons.
Discovering the secrets of the world is the only way to live.
All right, and that is for a Rise of the Tomb Raider digital game code. Good luck, everyone.
Awesome. Good luck. G Dozier asks how many outfits are in the game. We're not releasing exactly how many outfits are there yet, but there are a lot. I will tell you, there are plenty of ways to customize your
There's
look.
also that special outfit if you pre-order from GameStop that
Absolutely.
you can only get by pre-ordering, which we have a tile right below the live stream, and I think we actually have a video that will be, or actually gameplay. You guys did some gameplay in that outfit, so.
Yeah, we will actually show that later on. You guys are going to get an exclusive look at the Apex Predator outfit in action, which is an incredibly cool-looking one, and it also comes with an in-game stat effect. It'll reduce all damage inflicted by animals. So you get that, plus you get the Venom hand cannon that you know about, which has that huge stopping power and also a complete upgrade path, as well as the Holy Fire foil card. So really, really great incentives for pre-ordering at GameStop.
So Ariel calls out that she loves seeing Laura using the environment to help her.
Absolutely, and this is starting to give you your first glimpse at the guerrilla combat tactics. You know, Lara is very agile, and what we wanted to do is take that to the next level. So you can see that she can take to the trees, and ooh, I think poison arrow might be in play here. Boom. So again, multiple enemies, one poison arrow,
And that's what you use a
also
poison
do
arrow
that
for.
silently. That's one of the ways you use a poison arrow. But you can see Lara was able to climb up into the trees to get a better vantage point. She could also use that as a takedown, as you saw in the very first part. She can also swim underwater and take down enemies from below. So, you know, we really want you to feel like the environment, while it's trying to kill you, can also be something that you can turn to your advantage. And that's where that third pillar of guerrilla combat tactics comes into play, because as you can see, Lara is outgunned and outnumbered, so she can use an arrow to distract one enemy, take out the next enemy with a headshot. You know, she can pick up things in the environment, craft them into explosives, as we're about to see in a minute. It really is about how are you using the environment to your advantage. So she grabbed the radio that dropped off that enemy's belt when she killed him, and that groups a bunch of enemies together. Perfect opportunity to use that jerry can filled with kerosene, turn it into a highly, highly explosive situation.
Now, is there other
Captain
ways
Carno.
to defeat that part, Rich?
Sorry?
That was probably the best way to defeat that mission, but is there other alternate ways that you could take out those enemies?
Absolutely. You know, depending on how you want to play, you could even try and stealth your way around. You know, thin the herd, take out the guys who are patrolling, and not even fight those guys in the middle if you can sneak past them. You know, there are some times when combat's unavoidable, but we give you far more opportunities than we did in the first game to choose how you want to approach combat or even avoid it entirely. And Captain Karnov was saying customization interface for the weapons way more in depth. That rocks. Appreciate it. You're absolutely right. There is a ton more upgrades that you can do, a ton more customization options. And also, Kelsey, looks like you got the dupe winner, Kelsey.
Yeah, congratulations. And I gotta mention, mention, there's something so gratifying taking out enemies with a bow and arrow.
There is. It does make you feel kind of Rambo First Blood 2 right there, you know?
Alright, so it looks like this player's mission to take out the bears to run.
Yes, well, you know what? Lara knows that she cannot defeat this bear just yet. So, you know, she's gonna take cover, and you can see we've got the melee climbing axe going on to see if we can dissuade the bear from going any further, but it doesn't seem like that works.
Jen Croft and Pendini said they'll take out the bear. They're going to go on that route instead of the run route.
You know, I've seen it done before. It's difficult, but you know, at this stage, I will say that you are forced into that run. If you try and take out the bear right here, you just don't have enough firepower.
You're going to see one of those scripted out death scenes you mentioned.
I'm sorry.
You would end up seeing one of those well scripted out
Oh.
death scenes that were mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. And you know what? That one's a particularly gnarly one. The bear kind of grabs on you and shakes you around like a rag doll. It's pretty disturbing. And you can see here that after getting hurt, Lara realizes that she needs to heal herself. So this also goes into the crafting system, where Lara finds some rag, like she's going to find in this little crate here, as well as the leaves on the special bushes that she gathered. She can actually create a field dressing. So we still have the gradual heal. So as you're playing and as you're fighting, you will heal over time. But again, talking to Lara, having improved her skills, and also speaking to making sure that crafting is well integrated into the gameplay loop. If you want to heal yourself instantly, you can do that. Thanks, Big Problems. Game looks gorgeous. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then what you're seeing here is that we fast-forwarded a little bit in time. Lara's crafting some additional poison arrows. You can see she's got a more powerful bow. She is now ready to take on the bear. So this combat will unfold a little bit differently.
My heart rate's raising and I'm not even playing.
Yeah. She's got a tough fight in front of her now, but it will unfold in that she can actually use things like the poison arrow, you can see, to stun the bear, get it turned around so it doesn't know exactly where she is. Again, using her mobility, getting behind that rock, and using that as a little bit of a breather so that she can craft some more poison arrows. But even there, you can see that she's going to need to heal, because that bear is he is no joke. He is not the alpha predator in this region for nothing.
All right, when you were game testing, did you beat it in the first go around?
Oh, not by a long shot.
In the first 10?
I think, well, so there's beating it, and then there's ways to beat it, So I remember the first time that I beat it. It was not the first time I played it. Yeah, I almost felt like I kind of cheated, because I just peppered that poor bear with so many poison arrows, and he just eventually just collapsed and died. So if you can get enough poison arrows, you can kind of keep him at bay and run around him, because Lara's fast. But if you only have a couple poison arrows, like we did in this demo, you're gonna have a fight on your hands. And the important thing is that you can only carry a certain number of poison arrows. So, I had upgraded myself to the point where I had even upgraded my max. So
how do the checkpoints work?
The checkpoints, we try and be very forgiving. So, you would start right there at the very beginning of the boss fight.
Sense of purpose again.
The bear fight, I should say, which, is a boss fight. Whenever you get to a campfire, obviously we're going to save there. But we don't want you to replay sections unless you want to. So the checkpoints are very forgiving. And you can see here that was, we've got another montage here. So after you beat the bear, and you may recall, some of you who saw it in E3, this was our sizzle reel that we showed. But we wanted to show that there was a lot more coming after you beat that bear. But what happens next is that we are going to show you a quick video. I think the Frank Kozig video.
Yes, and I just want to remind people to hang around. I'm going to put up a screenshot before we even get into the Frank Kozig poster. Because we're giving away, and Kyle said, there's only 1 of 50 of these created, this package, but each one of these posters that you spoke about earlier were signed by the artists that created them, come in this beautiful wooden, was it laser etched case, Kyle? And we're giving that away at the end of the stream. Just wanted to remind our viewers to stick around for a chance to win this. You can't buy it, you can only win them, and Crystal Dynamics was very generous to provide one on today's Play and Learn. But now I'll get into the Frank Kozig poster video and let you take it away, Rich.
Cool. Yeah, I won't talk for this, but I'll chime in afterwards.
All right, sounds good.
In Rise of the Tomb Raider, Lara Croft explores the most remote and treacherous regions of Siberia, searching for the secret of immortality. To celebrate the game's upcoming release, Xbox created a series of limited edition posters, designed and drawn by 4 distinctly different artists: Jeff Darrow, La Boca, Tara McPherson, and a new piece by legendary pop artist Frank Kozik. In this behind-the-scenes video, we climb inside the mind of Frank Kozik.
When I work, I don't use a single process. I'm result-oriented. So I don't limit myself at all. I'll do pencils, collages, use photography, do a painting, do a sculpture, whatever it takes to get the job done. I love humor. Absurdity is a big part of what I do. I love comic books. I love EC comic books. I've collected them for 40 years. I think they're the best comics we ever made and possibly the best pop art we've ever made. So this project had a lot of meaning for me. You know, I mean, getting to work with Xbox and Tomb Raider, I mean, who wouldn't want to be able to work with such a great piece of pop culture? When I started the poster, I thought, okay, Lara Croft, she's strong. She's going to be the huntress and not the hunted. I want to do something bold and impactful and not be, you know, artsy about it. My chapter, it's set at night. It's an aggressive and shocking scenario. I wanted to use a color palette of blues, some rich red, so its style is not over-detailed. And I think it makes a good counterpoint to the very detailed and like rich look of the game itself.
To get your copy of this limited edition Frank Kozik poster, pre-order Rise of the Tomb Raider for Xbox One at any GameStop and receive a poster when you pick up your game in store.
And you can click the tile right below the stream video and go pre-order on GameStop right now and get that awesome Frank Kozik poster.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Rich.
That thing is beautiful. I love that. So I'm really excited to make that available to you guys for the GameStop pre-order and also that limited edition for the win here. So very fun stuff.
Those posters are sick. It might sound weird, but that one on the very far left, I'd love to hang up in my bathroom. Like, I think for some reason, I don't know, I think it'd be just so awesome there. And then the Frank Kozik one, I've already actually got hanging up here in my office. So
seems like Frag First Agrees with you. He says I had that at my wallpaper at work. So yeah, that's
yeah.
it.
All right, so we're gonna head into Advancing Storm next. And what's cool, just to let the viewers know, we've got two Advancing Storms. One you're gonna show kind of an aggro style, and then another one you're gonna show stealth style.
Yeah, so just as a, before we dive into the first video, one of the questions earlier was about how much does stealth factor in? And, when we talk about guerrilla combat tactics, stealth is absolutely an option because that can often be the best way to thin the herd. Excuse me. And if you're, if you are outnumbered and outgunned, it can often behoove Lara to go around and get the stragglers and make sure that if the bubble does pop, as we say, and you are seen, or, you take an enemy down and enemies see what's going on, that you have fewer people who are then rushing in to try to kill you. But you also have always got that option to go in guns blazing. So what we did is we took this section called Advancing Storm and we played through it two different ways. So you can see the types of choices that you can make. And these are just two of the ways to play through. There's a lot of other ways that you can put your skills to the test. But let's go ahead and jump into one that's a little more of an aggressive play style.
Yeah, we'll start with the aggro, and then we'll also start, before we kick those off, with another.
During the rage, we should be exploring new horizons.
Discovering the secrets of the world is the only way to live.
All right, and that is for another copy of Rise of the Tomb Raider digital game code that'll get sent to your Twitch inbox. And then someone mentioned, how do we get the poster if we order online? I believe all you got to do is print out your receipt and bring it into your local, your closest local GameStop, and they'll have it on hand for you. But they do advise call ahead to make sure they're in stock, but they should have them there for you.
Lara Croft mentions the combat looks amazing. I love going in guns blazing, but I also love stealthing. So,
yep. Here's the aggro.
Yeah, this will be the aggro, and this is going to start off. So this is one of the first times that we showed off the hub. You can see in the distance that's where Lara's grand destination is. But this is a great look at the type of playable space that you're going to have in front of you, and there's just a ton of side adventure waiting for you there. And when we talk about that cinematic survival action roller coaster, these are the areas in the hubs where it really opens up. and you get to choose, when you go back to say the main story. But that's where what we call the player-driven adventure happens. So you can see here that we're picking a few skills that will serve us well, and did a quick time lapse there. So now we'll jump into, like I said, a little bit more of the aggro approach. Got an enemy here. Lara, as I hinted at earlier, can go underwater. This is absolutely one of my favorite things to do, is take that guy for a little bit of a swim.
So when you say aggro, you're not talking Leroy Jenkins.
No. We are talking a little bit more aggressive in terms of the tactics that you're using. So she pulled down the first enemy, and again, this is a way of thinning the herd. So taking out the first guy unseen, second guy unseen. So we went below and then we went above with the aerial takedown. And these guys around the bonfire still don't know what's going on. So we do have this patrolling guy, so I'm going to go ahead.
Is there always this much opportunity?
Do a little sneak past. Sorry, this isn't... I want to say this isn't live gameplay, but I say I'm gonna because I was the one that actually played this and recorded it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I'm
Nobody would have known if you didn't.
I'm the one that played this and recorded it, so it's kind of taking me back. It's as if I have the controller in my hand.
And I wanted to ask, when you're playing the controller, remember that part you're trudging through the snow? Can you feel that in the controller, like as you're playing? Can you feel it's like, oh, like it's...
Yeah, if you've got the vibration turned on, sure.
That's awesome.
So you can see that we use a little bit of a distract technique there to get that last guy out of the way. And then Trinity is clearly, they've moved in earnest. You know, they have fully occupied this village. So again, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor, and we're gonna let some people go by. By the way, congrats to the winner, Chicken C3. A big problem says, can't get over how gorgeous this game looks. Ability to play it so many different ways, multiple times through this game is a must. Appreciate that. Thanks very much for the compliment, and we agree that you are going to have a lot of different options in terms of how you play through the game. So you can see here again, talking about thinning the herd, making sure that we are taking out people who might rush in once the bubble pops. And this, one of my favorite things, double headshot. Boom. 2 arrows simultaneously fired from the bow. That is a skill that you can unlock, and it is a great way to take out 2 enemies at once.
So you had mentioned Lara is not a trained assassin. I'd hate to see what happens when she starts getting training.
Yes, she is certainly improved her skills when it comes to combat, and we thought that was important because we don't want you to feel like you're starting from zero. She has been through a lot. So, she has learned some things, but there's still plenty more that she can learn.
If you got me on the sticks, she would not look like a trained assassin.
Oh, this is one of my favorite takedowns, too. The bottle smash over the head to the jugular. That is just brutal.
There's a lot of ways to take out enemies. It's not just
we have
a gun.
A ton of combat options. I'm not joking when I said you have a ton of options in how you play the game. Tab 73, ExpertZone Community says, will the game soundtrack be getting released? Stay tuned. We have announced the soundtrack is going to be released. You've got some goodness coming your way very, very soon. That's all I'm going to say.
But he's going to put a recommendation in for us both. Then there'll be...
So you can see here, Lara's now made it into the 3rd section. Still fairly stealthy, aggressive, I would say, but still fairly stealthy. We're gonna go full on aggro, So let's take out this first guy. He drops down. His good friend Bob wonders what's happening. I don't know if his name's Bob. But now we have popped the bubble, so to speak. So you can see Lara using shotgun to the face on these enemies. crafting an explosive canister. That's a shrapnel grenade that she made out of a can, as well as some of the other items that she's found in the environment. You know, blowing up the gas tanks, using her assault rifle. This is where, like I said, if you want to go in guns blazing, you absolutely, positively have that option at your disposal. Using a Molotov cocktail to take this guy out, and then we'll come to the end here. You can see that Lara may like to play with fire, but there are other enemies that like to do so as well. So this will be the end of the first playthrough on Advancing Storm. But as you can see, lots and lots of different tactics that Lara has at her disposal. And here we're just giving you a look at some of the challenge tombs that are in the game. Just because we wanted to remind everybody that Rise of the Tomb Raider is absolutely putting the tombs back in. So,
And now, are the tombs part of the main story, or are those little side missions you can do?
both. So there are main tombs that you'll have to go through, and therefore puzzles that you'll have to solve. But we also saved the most devious puzzles in our challenge tombs, and these are completely optional. You do not have to go through them, and they are to reward people who are exploring the world. So absolutely up to you whether or not you go through them, but there is a ton of tombs, and they are filled with traps, filled with puzzles, filled with challenging climbs. Zev Nadia says, we're the developer. It's up to me if he's Bob. You know, he is Bob now.
All right, he's Bob.
That was Bob.
Hey, that's insider information that you only get here. All right, cool. So now we'll go into the stealth. Now, is it going to be the same playthrough, or are we going to see a different area?
We're going to show you the same area, but a completely different way to play it.
All right, let's check it out.
So as you recall, last time we gave that guy a bath that he never woke up from. This time we're gonna let him go on his way. I could also name all these guys. So Jim, we're gonna spare right there.
You got to get a Kyle in there.
Yeah, no, Kyle, we got something special for Kyle. So we're sneaking through. You can see that we absolutely, positively worked our way through that area without having to kill anybody. So that was a completely non-lethal way to go through that area. We just snuck by everybody, right? So that is for the people who say, hey, can I play stealth? Now, again, I want to be clear that sometimes combat is going to be unavoidable. And Slaya85, 1000 gamer score, here I come. Absolutely, I'm right there with you. Cannot wait to max that out. But yeah, you are going to have the option most of the time in terms of how you want to approach combat. You know, sometimes you'll be caught in an ambush. Sometimes, you know, you're going to need to respond with deadly force. But you're going to have this option to be stealthy and be non-lethal far more in the game than you were in Tomb Raider. So you can see that objects she finds in the environment can be used for distraction or as a weapon. So remember, the first time through, she picked up that can and packed it with, you know, some of the crafting items that she'd collected, turned it into a shrapnel grenade. This time, just makes some noise and pulls Kyle away. Kyle goes to explore, and Lara is able to take the high road. So remember before we snuck around the bonfire the other way?
That makes sense because Kyle loves collecting cans.
I'm sure he does. He's also a pacifist. So Kyle, you know, Kyle is probably glad that he just had to look at that can and didn't get a knife in the back of the neck.
Yeah, he's over here nodding yes. Collecting a can is much better than a knife.
Kyle was happy to live. So you can see though that there were different enemies and different enemy types. Those guys were heavily armored, so Lara chose to stealth her way past those guys and just distract them, so she could stay on the high road, take the zip line down, and make her way. That right there for you guys is a 100% non-lethal playthrough of Advancing Storm. And as you can see, a very, very different approach than what we've done before.
So you don't even have to kill the enemies if you don't want to.
It's
You
not
can
his
just
call, but he's going to put a
shoot by 'em.
recommendation in for us both.
Yeah, so Lara's
That'll be
running by half of them.
initiation ceremony of some
You know, you
sort.
can still
Gotta
see
kill some,
the
right?
last section. Remember before she, I think this was Bob up here that we had taken out with the poison arrow last time. What are we gonna do? We're gonna leave Bob? Let's leave Bob.
There's some sort of mode.
We'll use our grapple axe
He said we'd find out soon enough.
after we distract him with an arrow.
Have they started
You
operation?
can see that Lara, again, being very agile, very mobile on the trees, using the grapple axe to swing her way across and around the side of the building.
So I gotta ask the viewers: are you guys more aggro or more stealth? Like, this is really cool to see you play it in two different ways. And I'm just curious how, like, I really don't know which way I would go. Maybe a little half and half. Can you do that?
Yeah, it totally depends. You know, you'll be rewarded for the way that you play. You know, you're going to get experience points for for taking out enemies. You're also going to get experience points for making your way through a section completely stealthy. So, you know, when Waltrain asks what kind of stealthy weapons does Lara have, that goes back to the bow, for example. You know, the bow is a stealthy weapon, but you can even drill down another layer. The compound bow is more powerful, but it isn't quite as silent, so enemies will hear it if they're too close. Whereas the recurve bow, not as powerful, but, you know, silent even from up close. So you really, again, have to decide how do you want to play, and then you choose what weapons to upgrade. You choose what skills to unlock based on your playstyle. So right there, 100% non-lethal playthrough, Lara using distraction, using arrows, using objects she's found in the environment to redirect enemies, all those things so that she could make her way through that entire section in a completely different way. So it really is up to you to play it, you know, guns blazing or stealthy or somewhere in between.
All right, I'm excited about this video. I'm very curious to hear you talk about this next one.
Absolutely. We'll let it play. And actually, if you can pause for a second,
I can.
just to give it a little bit of context for what you're seeing. So I mentioned earlier that you guys get the Holy Fire card pack by pre-ordering at GameStop. And this ties into some of the replay value that we have in Rise of the Tomb Raider. And we recently announced, you know, some of our DLC content. And one of these things is that we have expedition cards in the game, and that's where this Holy Fire card pack comes in. So the point around an expedition card, just so you've got a little bit of context as you're watching the video, is that it allows you to change various parts of the game when you're replaying in different levels or replaying modes. So watch the video and then I can explain a little bit more, but keep in mind that each one of these cards is going to allow you to change the game, as you'll see.
All right, let's check it out.
All right, so when we start off, and you're getting a little look at Lara's apartment here, but first one that we're going to take a look at is Blazing Inferno. So this one's a good one. You know, fire arrows, always good to have those on hand. If you play the Blazing Inferno expedition card, you'll have unlimited fire arrows. Backfire means that if an enemy connects with you with a melee attack, they have a chance of bursting into flames. Lucky means that enemies will drop more rare loot when you kill them. And then, personal favorite here, Chicken Bomb. When you grab a chicken and you throw it, it explodes. I don't think I need to say any more.
Yeah, I think that's self-explanatory.
And then Holy Fire, and this is a GameStop exclusive card. When you kill an enemy using melee, they explode, which can then ignite other enemies and hurt them nearby. So this is an absolutely great expedition card pack. And again, you use these when you are replaying levels or when you're playing some of the extra modes. So it's a great way to extend the replay value of Rise of the Tomb Raider. And they're also used in what we call the Remnant Resistance mode. And Remnant Resistance mode is we take one of the hubs in the game and we let you craft your own missions so that other people in the community can play them. So you'll set the parameters, you'll set what type of enemies are there, what the objectives are, what weapons Lara will have, and you basically can craft these missions, post your best score or time, put it up at the top, and see how long you last at the top of the leaderboard. So we don't have the traditional multiplayer. You know, we did that on the first Tomb Raider. We heard from our fans that wasn't really what they were looking for. So what we've done instead with our DLC is find ways to extend what you guys are looking for, which is the story. So we have DLC that will expand on the story. It will not be DLC that you need in order to understand the story. I want to be clear about that. You don't get to see the real ending in DLC, nothing like that, but it will expand one of the elements in the story. We have DLC that allows you to play the game in different ways, you know, new weapon unlocks, new skins. But like I said, this Remnant Resistance mode is a great way to make your own mission and then see how people do it. And then got a question, will there be any differences in the story depending on how you complete a level? That's a great question. There won't be any differences to the main story, but you will unlock additional parts of the story if you choose to do some of the side missions. For example, and we're going to see a little bit of this in the Soviet hub video that we're about to take a look at. But this is a great way to see even more depth by completing missions that people are giving you. So we can go ahead and roll the Soviet hub.
All right, awesome.
We should be exploring new horizons.
Discovering the secrets of the world.
And that is for, I'm going to pause this real quick so you can set the stage. That's actually for an Xbox One Elite controller. But they are on back order. They're sold out. And just like our customers, our Xbox One fans, we get them when you guys can get them because we do order them. So if you don't want to wait, we can also send you another controller and a $50 gift card in place. But if you're patient and you want to wait for that awesome controller, just let us know. But I just wanted to give you guys the other option as well. All right, here we go.
Cool. Yeah. So what we're looking at now is a Soviet hub. So the first hub in the game was that Siberian wilderness that you saw where Lara fought the bear and where she had to take out those enemies around the campfire. We were showing you some of the crafting. This hub, though, is much, much larger. Has a ton of optional side missions. It has 3 hidden challenge tombs that are completely optional. So you can explore and solve these challenge tombs. And one of the things that I love about the challenge tombs is that we have absolutely made them so that there is a big risk but a big reward. They have some of the most devious puzzles. They are some of the most challenging. They are some of the most deadly. But it's not like you're just getting a bunch of salvage or something like that by exploring and by completing one of the optional tombs. You will unlock what we call ancient abilities. So these are gameplay skills that are incredibly valuable, and Lara can use them from that point on in the game. So we absolutely want you to feel like if you're going to do a challenge tomb, you are absolutely going to be rewarded by it. And you can see here Lara just unlocked a piece of a semi-auto pistol. So again, for people who explore, if you guys really take the time to find everything that the game has to offer, you're going to be rewarded with great new weapons, which will hopefully make the journey and the adventure a little easier. This is looking on the way to a side mission here. One of the things that you can do is disrupt the Trinity communications by destroying all of their transmitters. So if you do this, you'll be rewarded with the lockpick, which is a very handy item to have because there are some doors in the game that you'll come across that you can't pry open with your axe. So if you've done this side mission, and you can pick it up anytime you want to, then you will be able to have the lockpick and open up those doors. So again, really trying to make sure that there's risk, but there's also reward. Congrats to JS Midi 23, Duke winner. So you can see here, you're getting a little clue that there's an optional challenge tomb nearby. We're not going to dig into any of those here because we want you guys to be able to find them on your own. But I can promise you that they are absolutely spectacular. So you can see here Lara disrupting the communications further. So she's gotten 2 of them in that side mission. But between the challenge tombs that are here, the side missions that you can do for the remnants, there's collectible challenges, there's hunting. Case in point, deer is remarkably hardy.
Yeah.
Wounded now. You can see.
Took
I mean,
hit.
that deer is tougher than some of the Trinity people. But now you can go in and actually get the hide from that deer, which you can use for an upgrade. So we really want, again, to make it feel like there's a full ecosystem going on here where everything you're doing has importance, has significance within the grander adventure. And this is just a look at just some of the many things that are waiting to be explored here. So this is, when I talk about that player-driven adventure, this is where the game really opens up.
Look how-
Anytime I can use my survival instinct, see what my next objective is. I don't have to do any of these side missions. I can absolutely just say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and progress the story. I'm going to keep fighting the good fight against Trinity. That's absolutely fine. Anytime you can do that, but you can also, in these hub areas, really push pause on that and take the time to upgrade yourself, upgrade the skills, upgrade your weapons.
I love how
Raiden Striker says, "Can you sum up the game in 10 words or less?" Wow, that's a great question. All right, I don't even count this. I'm hoping this is 10. Lara Croft on her first tomb raiding expedition. That sounds like Lara Croft on her first tomb raiding expedition. That's 8 words. How's that, Raiden Striker?
this game looks amazing. Go play it.
Thank you.
That's all I'd say. Dude, I love the details of how she bundles up in certain run sequences. Like, it's not even just running around. Like, you can see, like, yeah, it's cold out there.
Yeah, when she gets cold, she's gonna shiver and hold herself when the wind blows. When she walks by a fire, she's gonna warm her hands. If she's walking along a wall, she's gonna touch the wall. And you can see here that was a look at some of the skills that we have in the game, and we've got also the region summary here, where you can see so much to do. This will be one of those things where maybe you want to go back and freeze frame if you want to see all that there truly is to do. But there is just a ton of content that you can do and explore and have fun with in these hubs.
Dottie Duke says, just take their money. Just go ahead and take it now. I think the only way we can do that is actually click the pre-order tile below the stream. It'll take you to GameStop. You can pre-order now and get all this cool content. I got a question. How open world is it when you're in the main story? You kind of keep Lara on a direct path, or can she kind of go off path and do a little bit of searching for artifacts or stuff like that?
Right, sure. So we always consider it that you're on the main story, but what it is, if you think about it, almost like these hubs are where the game world really opens up. We are not positioning this as an open world game. That's not the type of game that we're building. We still want it to be that cinematic survival action. Some areas are a little bit more, narrow is the wrong word, but let's just say the path forward is a little more evident than in other places. It's when you get to these hub spaces that the world really opens up, and that's where, you can do the straight line approach and just go from point A to point B and keep progressing the story from point to point. But along the way, there is just so much content. So that's where you can choose to go off the beaten path. And you can see here, we're literally just running around this space in the Soviet hub. At any point, you can continue things. But no, we're going to, go collect our lockpick from this guy now, which is going to, I promise you, be something that you're going to be happy with later. Because you'll be able to use that lockpick to get into some rooms that will give you some better gear and better equipment. Or some treasures. So you're always able to just move forward, and you're always able to get into what we call that player-driven exploration. It's just how you choose to play. So you can see there, getting the lockpick was the only way into that box, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to unlock that semi-auto pistol part So now you'll be able to eventually complete that weapon. And this is...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Joe Bree's asked, can you go back to earlier levels with new gear? Like once you get your gear.
Absolutely, and that's literally what I was just about to say. So perfect timing, Joe Breeze. The thing that we want to encourage is this idea of gear gating, and going back and using the fast travel system to revisit areas that you've already been through. So when we talk about gear gating, that means that you may see a door or an environmental obstacle that you can't get past with what you have right now. And Lara will give you a little subtle hint like, need, this piece, or need something to do this with in order to get past it. And then once you have that piece of equipment, then you can go back and you can revisit that area using the fast travel system, which is accessible at any of the campfires. And you'll be able to get into that new area or that new space. So, from the gear gating perspective, we'd love for people to go back and find new areas, but also just from the sake of that player-driven exploration. If I make my way through an area and then I return to it, new enemies can appear. It may be a different time of day, which means that new animals may come out. That could be, for example, a new type of hide that I need. There could be an animal that gives me a pelt that I need, but it only appears at a certain type of day. So I've actually got to go back if I want to get that pelt or that skin and use it to upgrade that piece of equipment.
And you had mentioned earlier, sometimes when you go back or go to the same areas, the weather might have changed.
Absolutely, yeah. And Big Problems asked a similar question, as far as the weather goes. It's not that it's snowing the whole time. And again, just to make sure we're not promising something we're not delivering, it's not like there's a chance that a rainstorm is going to roll in while you're standing still, and night's not going to turn to day while you're standing still. But what will happen is if you revisit an area that you've already gone through, it may be raining this time. It may have fog this time. It may be night or it may be day.
So I'm just rolling the video. Keep talking. We've got 4 minutes left. I'm just
Yeah,
rolling
and
Apex
this
Predator.
is the perfect one to end on, because this is the first time that we've ever captured gameplay using the Apex Predator outfit as well as the Venom hand cannon.
Yeah, and
So these are this is the GameStop pre-order pack. So you're getting a look at what you're going to get by pre-ordering at GameStop. And again, the Apex Predator suit means that you get reduced damage from any kind of animal attacks, which, as you've seen from the wolves and bear population, and as
the deer.
There are other deadly predators that we have not shown yet. This will come in very, very handy. And whereas the Venom hand cannon has incredible stopping power, so we'll see that put to good use in just a minute or two. But this is the first time we're ever showing this, so you guys are getting some 100% exclusive footage.
Yep, so definitely click that tile right below the video stream. Go pre-order today. Get all the really cool pre-order content from GameStop that comes with the game. So we are going to give away that. We still got that one last awesome rack to give away. But before we give that away, I just want to say thank you, Rich. Congratulations on a beautiful game. I know everyone's very excited for 11:10 to come quickly as possible, especially our winners today. So again, thanks for stopping by, and congratulations on a beautiful game.
No, thanks so much, Joseph. And thank you to everybody that chimed in and asked questions, and thank you for all the compliments on the game. Thank you for the great questions. This is the best part of my job, is getting to talk to you guys and getting to show off the game. We're really proud of what we built. I think just to do a quick close, we have got the four main pillars of Lara's journey, where she's accepting this destiny to become the Tomb Raider. We've got Woman versus Wild, where Lara is using her skills and her wits to survive in these hostile environments. We've got the guerrilla combat tactics that you saw, where you've got so many different player options in terms of how do you want to approach combat to thin the herd, crafting on the fly, takedowns from above and below. And then finally we've got tunes. I think this is one of the most exciting things. We heard the cry loud and clear from you guys. You have asked us for more tunes, and we're so happy to be delivering that. You can see Lara pulling out Venom hand cannon here. Boom. 2 shots from long distance, and down goes the enemy. We'll call him Sam. Bye, Sam.
And you
But-
called it. Thank you to the Twitch viewers. You guys are awesome. Because you guys are so cool, and I always say they're the best Twitch community on Twitch. It allows us to invite you guys, the devs, to make it a game to come talk about and give away these cool prizes. But yeah, go ahead and finish up your recap. But we're gonna play that dupe. Let me flash it real quick once again. What you're gonna win is this limited edition. This is one of 50 sets that are signed by each artist on these posters. You can't buy these anywhere. So thank you so much, Rich, and Chris Dynamics, for providing one of these 50 here today on our plan lane. So I'm going to roll that dupe wheel and then go ahead and close it out for us today.
Should be exploring new horizons.
Discovering the secrets of the world is the only way to live.
All right, good luck, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Good luck. And yeah, like I was saying, just to close out on the tombs, more main tombs, more challenge tombs, even the crypts, and so we really feel like that's putting the tombs back in Tomb Raider. But can't wait for you guys to see all this. Again, thanks for the time. Love talking you through this. There's so much more that I wasn't able to cover, but hopefully you guys have got a good look at some of this 30+ hour gameplay experience, and can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it for yourselves on November 10th.
So now you're going to get a chance to relax next week, play the game a little bit, or as the brand director, they're going to put you right back to work?
I will still be on this. We've got the DLC coming out, and our job's never done, but it will definitely be great to have it out there and have it in people's hands. And I will say I will definitely be playing, and I will definitely be taking some time off in December. I'll tell you that.
All right. So let's see. Let's wait around real quick to see who our winner is. And it is Ghetto Albino, and they do follow the channel. So thank you and congratulations. We'll follow up. And what's great about that prize, you will not have to wait as you do with the Xbox One Elite controller. But thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. You guys are an awesome audience. Thanks for the great questions. Rich, thank you once more. And we're gonna end it on the area.
Perfect, yeah.
Rated M for mature.